So ladies and gentlemen, Randy Brothers is about to come on and just rock your world. This guy is making a massive impact in the world of real estate, construction, just a champion, and just building, growing, scaling, doing some awesome things, as well as has an amazing podcast. So you definitely want to stay tuned. It's going to be a powerful interview to help you step into your greatest possible self and live an extraordinary life. And I want to talk to you specifically because you're becoming your greatest possible self. You're showing up here today. You're choosing to grow yourself with podcasting, with listening to inspiring, empowering information. You're watching YouTube videos. You're getting coached. You're going to events. You're doing the things. You're investing in yourself. So I really acknowledge you for being that person who shows up and grows yourself. It's super inspiring, and you are making a massive change and inspiration in the people around you. Your ripple effect of showing up is impacting the people around you. So keep showing up. Next up is the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Joshua Lisek. And Joshua says, there's personal development and then there's GPS. Chris, I loved your chat with Martha. Every tip to build rapport with romantic partners works in business. In love, you want yes. So it is in sales. Thank you for bringing on guests whose advice applies to 99.99% of life. P.S. You are so high energy. I feel the room come alive as I listen. 100%. Joshua, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the feedback and the review on iTunes. And for you out there listening, if you want a chance to get shouted out and thanked all day long by me on Greatest Possible Self on the 12-hour marathon, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store, and you'll get a chance to get shouted out on a future marathon. Also, subscribe so you can get all the latest updates, episodes, and greatness that we're putting out, and stay inspired, plugged in, and empowered to be your GPS. I'm going to introduce Randy in just a second here. Before that, though, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. We're going to be diving into some greatness. This guy's just been on a rocket ship of growth, and you want to take notes so that you can learn what he's doing. Study what successful people do. Be mentored either virtually or directly by people's success and their habits and their mindset and how they show up in life. And you will be able to replicate those types of results for your own journey, for your own gifts and purpose and your mission. So let's introduce Randy, and then we'll bring him on. Randy Brothers is a third-generation contractor, entrepreneur, podcast host, and business coach. In 2018, his company, Elite Roofing, made the coveted Inc. 5000 list as one of the fastest-growing privately held companies in the U.S. from Inc. magazine. The same year, he launched the Roofing Academy, a consulting firm and virtual training platform which helps roofing companies propel their business to success. He's the podcast host of the Start, Build, Grow show. Brothers is also the author of Start It, Build It, Grow It, The Contractor's Guide to Success, a #1 international bestseller in 4 business categories in 6 countries. This dude is on fire, and we're absolutely blessed to have him here with us today. Randy, are you ready to rock the house, my man?
Let's go, man.
Boom,
Thank you so
shakalaka.
much. I am ready.
I love it. We are live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. We're going to have a blast in this interview, man. You're crushing it, and I'm really, really grateful you're here. We're going to dive right into the theme, which is an extraordinary life. What does that mean for you, Randy, an extraordinary life?
Oh, man, I think an extraordinary life is being able to do what you want when you want for the right purpose, and sharing it with as many people as you possibly can. And that's what gets me up and gets me going every single day, man. Just trying to live the example, just make things happen, but bring as many people on the journey as possible. It's a lot of fun that way.
I love it, man. Massive contribution and having a lot of fun in the process. That's so important. And Randy, I mentioned it in your intro, but I'll share a little bit more about what you're doing in the roofing space today with your podcast and your book. Just give us an overview of what your mission and your messages that you're getting out right now.
Well, a little bit of everything. I kind of focus largely in the roofing space. Mm-hmm. It's a rapidly growing space. A ton of people entering, day after day. Well over $100 billion in growth and in large capacity. So it's a very interesting industry, if you will, and I put a lot of energy there because a lot of people get into the industry because they either come from a sales background or a lifetime of contracting and swinging a hammer, and they decide to start a business. But very few actually have business experience.
Yep.
So I come from, the hard knocks of business, went to school for business. I've been all in as an entrepreneur since I was a little kid.
Wow.
So therefore, I kind of found an opportunity to kind of share business and business experiences with people in the construction roofing space, and it's been a really really cool journey so far.
That's awesome, man. And I love it. I love that your focus is business and you're impacting this niche that may not necessarily be the most, let's say, cutting edge in terms of like technology and market trends of social media and things like that. I think in terms of like blue collar work, so to speak, which I think roofing would be considered, general contracting, things like that, they may not be up to date, so to speak, on the latest marketing trends. Whereas different professions like consulting and coaching and being an author, speaker, influencer, thought leader, that kind of stuff, podcasting, that stuff is very technology driven. So we're constantly like looking around. So I really love that you're bringing your expertise and knowledge about of business to a space that may not have those tendencies to do personal development, to be self-educated and that kind of stuff, to grow themselves to a higher level. So it's really awesome, man. I want to go back into your journey and talk about being an entrepreneur from the very beginning, man. Tell us a little bit more about that. How did you become a self-declared entrepreneur early on?
Well, growing up, I grew up in a pretty humble household. My parents worked really hard. My mom worked two jobs oftentimes.
Yeah.
They were in the ministry and had a church when I was a kid, and that didn't really provide the champagne lifestyle that I always kind of wanted, if you will.
Yeah.
So we always had what we needed, but if I wanted to go above and beyond and kind of keep up with all the neighborhood kids and have the cool toys and the new bikes and the cool things, I had to figure out how to do it myself. So out of necessity, I decided to just try entrepreneurship as a kid. I did the age old, landscaping, snow removal, lawn mowing. I figured out how to strap my lawnmower to my bike. I kind of hooked it onto the
Oh my
seat,
God.
and then I was able to strap the weed whacker onto the handlebars, and then I took the cord and put it around my neck,
Oh
and
my gosh.
and away I went knocking doors, man. I've been knocking doors since I was 10, 11 years old.
Wow. Dude, that's intense, man. I love that at some level though, did your parents tell you, "Hey, if you want to get these nice things, you have to go build it yourself. You have to go get the money yourself." Like did they empower you in that or was that something like you decided yourself?
I kind of just I don't know what it was. I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
I just kind of had the idea of I would just get a wild hair and I would just go for it. They did help me because they bought the weed whacker, they bought the lawnmower,
Yep.
so they did actually support my journey.
Yeah.
And some of the early hustles, if you will, I'd take my allowance and I'd go to like Costco or Sam's Club and buy a box, a bulk box of blow pops or candy or something, and I'd sell them out to my schoolmates for 25 cents a piece,
Wow.
in the back of the school bus until that got shut down pretty quick by the bus driver. But I always had that, that hustle mentality, man. Just do whatever I can to try to challenge myself and make a good living and do things to
Yeah.
earn.
Yeah, man. I'm curious, what are the qualities of that early version of you that you think really made a difference for you to grow your entrepreneurial spirit that you want people to focus on so that they can be their greatest possible self and succeed and grow, etc.
One, I think just being able to connect with people.
Mm,
Early on, just as this goofy little kid, skinny little kid that just wanted to step out and be different from the rest of his friends and rest of his neighbors, and knocking doors and doing what I can, just connecting with people to get them to say, oh yeah, I'll give you $10 and to mow the lawn, and then from there, just be a genuine man, be a good person that is always focused on taking action that will ultimately lead to other people's success and other people's growth,
yeah.
right? And that's probably the biggest takeaway as an entrepreneur to this day is,
Mm,
my biggest successes have come because, that shift in my own heart and my own mind of helping others, and then, it focused on helping others, and then it allowed me to succeed in ways that I could have never even imagined.
wow. Yeah, that's powerful. I want to go back to college and talk about getting your studying business. Tell us a little bit more about that and what did life look like right out of college?
Well, I started, I don't know what it was, but I just always kind of, I guess consider myself somebody that just wanted to be a bit of an overachiever, if you will. So
Yep.
even while I was going to school, and I had to take out loans, I put myself through college. My parents were able to help a little bit, but put myself through college. But while going to school full time, I had multiple jobs, and
Wow.
one of those jobs was like a career minded job because I knew I wanted to get in construction. I
Mhm.
always had a knack for construction. I got to spend time with my grandpa, my dad growing up. Just, I didn't live with them, but I got to spend time with them
Mm.
around the shop and growing up and building things and doing construction and kind of seeing, just things being created. And I just always had a interest in that. And then, so I got a job as an intern working for a construction company. So
Mm.
I started doing project management, working as a superintendent, and then, worked there 2.5 years. And by the time I graduated college, I had already had, almost a dozen ground up builds under my belt. So I
Wow.
knew how to build a house from the drafting board all the way to certificate of occupancy,
Wow.
finishing a job. So ended up being, kind of crash course learning business, but also applying, to real life experiences, trying to learn construction. And that's kind of what set me off. Right after I graduated, I tried to get a job, a real job, if you will.
Mm.
That lasted a couple months, and I just was like, you know what? I've come this far. I'm just going to go for it. And I started my very first construction company about 3-4 months after I graduated college in 2006.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. I want to talk about those 12 builds that you did. It's like super powerful. I hear like really in depth on the job training and mentorship. I'm curious for people who are out there starting their own businesses who may not have had that mentorship or practicing the skills under the guidance and tutelage of someone who has the experience. Like, what would you recommend for those people to give themselves the best possible chances of success?
I don't know if it's cliche, but there's something true to be said about mind over matter. Like
Mm.
if you want it, if you truly want something in life, you got to set your heart and mind on it, and you can achieve it. Like I did not have a silver spoon. I did not have
Mm.
someone accidentally just say, "Hey, you want to come work for a construction company?" No, I had a friend of mine that I went to school with, actually went to high school with, and we just stayed friends. And she got an internship at this construction company our sophomore year in college. I knew I wanted to do construction, but I had no clue where to start.
Mm.
I bugged her for months just to get me an introduction to her boss.
Wow.
I asked her over and over, "Hey, all I want to do, just introduce me to your boss." And somehow at some sort of company event, they brought me there, and I introduced myself, and I got connected. And then I was like, "Hey, all I want to do is come meet with you and do an interview, if you will." I literally offered to go work for free.
Wow.
I just said, "I want to learn how to build a house. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to be a contractor. I want to learn how to build houses. You're a home builder." Courtney, her name was Courtney, and she was like, she worked with them and had a good time and spoke highly of their business. So I literally sat there in this dude's office as like an 18, 19-year-old kid, no experience whatsoever, and I spent 3 hours pitching him on me coming to work for him for free.
Wow.
And
Wow.
lo and behold, the next day he called me. He's like, "Tell you what, I'm actually working on a personal project." They already had, his partner was a project manager, so they didn't really need one per se, or did they have really the budget for one? So he said I didn't have to work for free, very little though. I made very little,
Yeah.
but I just started working as an assistant project manager for his personal home that
Wow.
he was building. And 2.5 years later, man, I was running everything.
Wow.
And from to this day we still stay connected, and he's been a mentor. Him and his business partner have been mentors of mine, and I still stay connected every once in a while. But that's just a story of perseverance. I mean, you gotta, if you really want something, you gotta go find mentors, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Dude, that's gold. And I love how the theme is ask, 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 follow up. Whatever you put your mind, your body, your heart to, it's like you won't give up on it. You'll say, "This is my freaking vision. I'm going after it. Like whatever it takes, this is where I'm meant to be." And of course, like we get to be in tune with what life wants to redirect us to, if there's some higher purpose or something like that. But like barring those like really big 2x4s or semi truck that tries to hit us and say this is not your path, then you have to overcome any obstacle, any resistance, any objection, any like block that would stop you from achieving your dream. And that's when the universe like conspires with you to say, all right, you want this. I'm going to help you. I'm going to put you in front of the right people. I'm going to give you the next steps to take to be able to make that dream a reality.
The only person that can defeat you is yourself. You know, at the end of the day, you're only competing against yourself too, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you want it bad enough, whatever it is in life that you want, you can achieve it. You can. I mean, you don't got to have, and look at, we look at all these icons and all these, you know, influencers on social media and on TV and reality TV and all that. They had to work for what they got as well. A lot of us have the same stories. You know, just because we idolize these people, it doesn't mean that we can't get to that level. We got to get over ourselves first and just realize that, hey, you know, if they can do it, I can do it, and just go all in trying to learn and grow and learn. And really,
this is gold. This is gold, Randy. I'm loving it. And for everyone who's tuning in, make sure you're taking notes, because this is like really, really important stuff. I love what you said about the only person who can defeat you is yourself. And who are you really competing against? Ask yourself that question, and ask yourself, how would you design a life where you're constantly reminding yourself that you're competing against yourself, and it's fun and it's a game. You know, I think that's something a lot of people do, is they make it so stressful and overwhelming, and they take the fun and the journey out of it. It's like, make it fun. Have a good time while you're doing it, and enjoy the process, man. And I hear that you had like tenacity and character, but I also hear that you enjoyed the process as well. You like learn to laugh at yourself. It's really great, man. I want to talk about your transition into roofing specifically, and when did that like phase of your career get started, and tell us a little bit more about that, man.
Yeah, I got into roofing accidentally. Roofing found me, if you will. As like I said before, I was in construction. My you know, I thought that the most prestigious job or business to have is to be a custom home builder. That was my original goal. I wanted to build custom homes, build a name for myself, and just be a master craftsman. And the economy didn't allow that. So I was doing this in 2006, 7, 8, getting my business off the ground. As most of you know, if some of the, well, I guess I don't know what the demographic is here. Some of you may know. I guess I'm getting pretty old now. I feel young, but I guess I'm getting old, to the point where going through the great recession of 2008 and 9, you know, it hit the construction company and the banking and mortgage and lending hard.
Huge.
So pretty much overnight, my entire market just disappeared.
Wow.
So from there, I just had to pivot, and I had to figure out what to do. I was in a rough spot trying to build this company, you know, with no funding, just reloading and trying to build a company off credit and all this stuff. When all of a sudden the bank stopped lending, people stopped finishing their basements, they stopped remodeling their homes, and I had to do something. So I ended up taking a job as a restoration, like a superintendent for a restoration contractor, which ultimately got me into fire and water restoration, you know, rebuilding and remediation. And that was what ultimately kind of first gave me the first inkling of the insurance business and restoration, and those, the adjusters that worked for that company used to talk about the good old days where they used to travel around the country working hurricanes and hailstorms and tornadoes, and did insurance adjusting and made all this money and traveled, and I was like, hey, I was in a really, really bad spot financially, and I had no other choice. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I moved to Texas pretty much on a whim. Packed everything up in my truck that I even could and sold everything else off, and went to Texas and got a license as an insurance adjuster. And that's what ultimately got me into roofing. That's when I kind of started meeting with roofers on job sites and learning that whole process. And then I quickly realized that life sucked. That job, yeah, you can make good money, but you know, the money isn't everything, right? You want to have a good quality of life. That's what we're talking about on here, right? It's all about quality of life. I love Colorado. I was born here and raised here. I wanted to get back here, and so I was looking for any opportunity I could. And in between kind of deployments of working for the insurance companies, a good friend of mine had hit me up. I stayed in touch with him from college, and he says, "Hey, man, I know you're kind of in the roofing insurance business. I can get you a job here in Colorado selling roofs."
Wow.
Here I go. 2 days later, I'm like, sure, why not? Packed up everything in my truck, went to Colorado. Didn't have any money. didn't have a place to live. I was living on couches, living in my truck a couple nights. Like I just went for it. And that's how roofing found me. You know, within the first week, I figured out that I was really good at roofing sales, and I broke some records, sold a bunch of roofs, and that year was able to completely turn everything around. And that's what ultimately showed me the opportunities in the roofing industry from a business perspective. And I was like, you know what? If I can master this whole business leadership thing, I think I could build a great organization. Yeah. And then ultimately a year after that is when I started my company in 2010. And since then it's been just like a whirlwind, man, where we're just, you know, living the dream right now.
That's awesome. What clicked for you with roofing sales?
Goes back to early on, just being able to connect with people, just being real, being genuine, and just enjoying the interaction of, I love the process of solving people's problems and selling something to them and providing a great service and just building that connection. I've always been like a major networker. If anyone knows me, I'm pretty well connected all over the place, and I just love it. I've always had a natural God-given gift to network and connect with people, and I've been able to kind of use that to my benefit in business.
Oh man,
and sales especially.
Let's talk about the growth of your company. You know, it was back in 2010. You said it started. Tell us about how things evolved over the years. Like, what were some of the biggest phases or milestones in the growth of your company?
Sure. So it all started. I was actually working for another company, and they wanted me to go storm chase, if you will, which means you go travel to different parts of the country. You set up a storm and you go work for a short period of time, and then you come back home. And I was doing that for a little while, and then again I realized, man, I'd rather be in Colorado. And I happened to see on the news, I was in like Ohio or something like that, and I saw on the news that there was a big hailstorm in Colorado. And at that time I was kind of like debating what I wanted to do with my life. And anyways, I knew that working for this other company wasn't a long-term solution. And it just kind of dawned on me that, hey, I still have this shell of a company that is a construction company. I left it to do this insurance thing and do the roofing sales. So it'd be pretty easy for me to turn it into a roofing company, add a new brand, get my license, get accreditations and all the things I needed to do. I just had to figure out how to come up with some money. So again, that the next day I met with a guy that I knew, I connected with. I was like, hey man, I'm going to start a roofing company. And he basically made a deal with me. He's like, hey, if you can raise X amount of money, I will give you the rest to get your business started. Sure as crap, man. I went the next day and called people I knew, and within a week I had all the money I needed, and I was able to launch my roofing company. And so that was just getting started was pretty crazy. I hired my mom as she was my first employee. I called her and I was like, hey mom, I'm starting a roofing company. I need you to help me. She had already been helping me with the roofing sales stuff. I was like, hey, she already had a little bit of knowledge, and she knew books really well, and she's really organized and really good at some of the things I'm really not good at, like details and organization.
Yeah.
And she and I basically said, hey, I want you to come work with me, and I can't pay you right away. She's like, she says, lo and behold, she kind of jumped on, it took a leap of faith and jumped out there with me. And so that's kind of how we started in our humble beginnings. Wow. And the first 3 years, man, we went really well. We did 500, 1.2 up to 3 million. Like we tripled in the first 3 years. And we thought we thought we knew everything. We were going to just take over the world. Then we started to expand. We wanted to go to other states and kind of try to grow the business and force growth. Next thing you know, we took a nosedive. We didn't have the infrastructure in place. And that was the point that I really was like, you know what? We've got to just really focus on systems and processes, starting with the sales process. Like I got to be able to hire, train, and develop salespeople and create a duplicatable process there, and then use that same philosophy and apply it to every other aspect of my business. And that's what we just dedicated our time to. That very next year, we tripled again. And then we just kind of been blowing up ever since then. We made the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row now. And it's just been a fun ride. We got over 50 people, 50 employees, not including installers. So it's grown pretty heavily. You know, it's the whole 10X thing. We've done it. We literally 10X'd in 7 years.
Dang. Dude, this is rad. I love how you mentioned like the systems and the processes was really the key. to getting to the next level of growth, right? It's like, especially if you create that significant growth early on, you find out what breaks, and you're like, oh, like life is amazing. We're gonna go expand. We're gonna go to new areas. You have all this ambition, and like you said, you took that nosedive because you're like, well, I'm trying to expand too much, and the foundations and the systems for duplicatable results weren't there, man. And I think that's like something a lot of people can get in place now and focus on now so they can create consistent results, because that's a real business, man. Like a real business is not some one person doing everything and like putting out all the fires and exhausting themselves and having like a terrible quality of life. A real business is having the systems and processes so that we can step away and give someone else those like responsibilities and give them the education, the empowerment, so that they can do what we once did or what someone else once did, and constantly be putting the right people in the right places to be able to achieve those results.
Yep. I joked around about it today. We're in transition with hiring some new administrative staff, and I was joking with my office manager, and I was like, "I'll come." Well, if we can't get this figured out, because we've had a little turnover there, and we're kind of having a little bit of a rough time with it, and I'm like, I'll come. And she's like, "No, you will not." It was pretty funny but humbling. Like, you know what? I can't even do that job. Like, I think the key to success, and they were joking, like, you're building an empire. You're not going to come here and be an admin. And I was like, I've fired myself from every job in my company. Like, I've done all of them, but I've also fired myself from all of them, because I truly believe that the key to success and extreme success is to not only surround yourself by great people, but hire and develop and train people to be better than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Then you get to do this on an afternoon, hang out with Chris Burns on the
That's
podcast.
Right, baby. That's right.
While the rest of the company's out there working, hustling, man. It's an amazing life, brother.
Well, you get also, there's the kind of technician work, which is the roofing and the sales and the admin, and then there's the like visionary and brand building and like that high level networking and creating deals, creating opportunities for expansion. That's like the most valuable stuff, is those bigger level plays. And I see that you're making those, and it started probably with your book and your podcast. Tell us about like what started you on saying, hey, I get to build a platform to be able to get this message out and bring more people to the business. When did you say that was a priority for you?
Well, I've always had, and this is something that I got to attribute to my family. I mean, my family, I grew up in a family where we've always just had this mentality of helping others.
Yeah.
My parents are in the ministry, and like we always just help people. I went to and served at the soup kitchen as a little kid, and just did all these things. I always had a heart for helping others. And when we built our company, and we actually were able to kind of achieve some levels of success that kind of not only blew me away, but are very lucrative in the industry. I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool thing. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, do I double down and try to expand my brand all over the country and just corner the market? Or do I take what we've learned, the success that we've had, and do I find a way to share that with others? So I chose the latter, and I decided to share that with others. And the best way to do that was to write it. For me, it was to write a book. I was like, how about I write a book? We joked about it too, because I mean, we have talked a little bit about it. My whole story is pretty unique, and there's and I've been told that it could be inspirational. A lot of people can kind of learn from it. So I was like, you know what? We always kind of joked about, hey, I'm gonna write a story someday. And I decided, hey, write a business book for contractors with applied learning, stuff that you actually learned throughout the whole process. And that was the kind of the concept behind it. And we wrote the Start, Build, Grow It, the Contractor's Guide to Success. That took about a year to do. And then after that, it was, okay, now what? Because really, people write a book, you don't realize you're not writing a book to like make any money. It's really to share information. It's like a really fancy business card, if you will.
Yep.
And it had a lot of success, and it's done really well. It's got a lot of great reviews and all that. And then it was like, okay, how do we take that to another level? And then that's where I decided to build a virtual training LMS program.
Yeah.
So the learning management systems, like they're all that's becoming a big thing. And this day and age, I'll tell anybody, now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. The best time to start a business. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can spend very little money and get the education you need that it took my ancestors 20, 30 years to learn. It took me 10 years to learn. It can take you 2 years to learn.
Yep.
because of the access we have to information. And I decided to start sharing that out there and kind of trying to be a light of the industry and share our experiences and just help others. And that's just manifested itself to the point where we're here now.
Damn, dude, that's rad. I want to go to the book because I know that I've started writing a book and still has yet to be published. But I know that like you learn a lot about yourself in writing a book. So I'm curious, what did you learn about yourself, your life, your business when you were writing the book?
I could barely read. First off, I mean, my ACT scores were a joke. My reading comprehension, I got ADD, and just focusing and reading is just not even. I'm not good at it. I just never have been. I'm an audio guy. I can listen to Audible all day, but
Yep.
so writing a book, like people who know me my whole life, you wrote a book? You kidding me? But I worked with a great publisher, and they really helped kind of really outline the entire process. I was blessed to be able to afford writing the book because I had sold an investment property that I bought when I was young.
Yeah.
Waited through the recession and finally got to a place where we sold that property, and I had enough money there to pay for the book. So
That's
I
awesome.
went all in. I wanted to make sure I had a great publisher, bestseller publishing.
Yep.
Rob Kosberg and his whole team, they just did a great job of just kind of walking me through that process. I allocated a specific amount of time every single week
Yep.
to write it. And it was really funny. The reason why it took so long is I got about halfway through the process getting ready to actually record everything, and I scrapped the whole deal and started from scratch. Because I was like, you know what, I'm not liking this. I don't like where we're going with this. I'm gonna redo it. So I did. I just scratched it and started
Wow.
over. And that the first idea may end up being my second book, but I'm not ready for that quite yet. But yeah, that book was an awesome process, man. It was I highly encourage you. You just gotta do it. I mean,
Yeah.
with anything in life, you have that big of a goal or that big of something you want to try to accomplish, you got to block the time in to do it. And I
Yep.
just dedicated every Wednesday morning from like 9 to 11 or from 8 to 11 was like,
Yeah.
don't bother me. I'm focusing on one thing. And that's all I did every Wednesday for pretty much a year to get that done.
Damn. And then, so you did the book. That's super powerful, man. And then you built this online training platform to help other roofers to become more
Yep.
successful. Tell us a little bit more about like what went into building that, man.
Well, some of you might be familiar with a guy named Grant Cardone.
Yep.
So he is it's interesting, but he's kind of like the guy that really put the whole learning management thing on the map, right? He blew up learning management and the whole Grant Cardone University.
Yep.
And his platform that he uses is actually called Lightspeed VT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if you've ever had Brad Lee on here, or he has his own podcast. He has a really great podcast himself. I think he's like top 5 right now in entrepreneurship. His podcast is called Dropping Bombs. And so he was the one who created Lightspeed VT, and it's actually the world's #1 LMS right now.
Wow.
So for virtual training, so people originally were using it for internal corporate. So big corporations would, create their own internal training, virtual training videos, and eventually he commercialized it and it just became a thing for influencers. And if you're an expert on anything, you can kind of create this a learning platform, a virtual training platform. So I figured out that, hey, they're the best, the cream of the crop. Grant Cardone's using it, and everybody who's anybody in the space is using that. So I decided to invest in that platform, and I did that. And then I also have a marketing company as well. So we do our own production. We have our own marketing, our video production team, and all that. So I was able to leverage that to kind of cut down a little bit on the cost, but it's still pretty expensive to do this the right way.
Yep.
And we just professionally filmed. Took 2 days, and it was just all day, every day for 2 days straight. And we filmed 11 different courses. Since then, we filmed more and added more to it. And we're actually getting ready to set up to do a whole nother couple courses this winter. But it was just another thing. You just got to dedicate the time, build out the outline, create scripting if you're going to use scripting.
Yep.
I'm not a good reader, so me reading off a teleprompter doesn't work. So I just have bullet points.
Bullet points, baby. Yes.
Bullet points, and go with it, and just share the knowledge. And that's turned out to be like another really awesome adventure. Roofing contractors, I mean, are learning and growing. I mean, every day I get somebody who either has just signed up or has been with us a while that call in and saying, we did this, we did this, we did this. Like this is the growth we're having. thank you so much for putting this out there. And like, that's just so rewarding. It's a lot of fun to be a part of it.
Damn. Dude, that's legit, man. Great job. And I love how you mentioned you looked at someone who's like crushing it with a system or a process or a specific tactic or strategy. And Grant Cardone was using this learning management software system. And you like saw that and he said, hey, that's working really well for him to teach sales, to teach, everything that he's teaching in business and things like that. You say, how can I model that if that would work for us and teach these things to, like I said at the beginning, some blue collar workforce that wouldn't necessarily have this technology or go do online courses, but with the right sales, with the right approach, with the right networking and contacts and really serving people, you can open up the door and really make an impact in their lives where they wouldn't have even thought to go do something like this to grow themselves and their business, and you're producing massive results because of it, man. I really, really acknowledge you for the audacity, acknowledge you for looking at what's going on in the marketplace, studying the trends, what's working, and then bringing that into an industry that might not be as evolved and really capitalizing on that system, on that tactic, and serving a lot of people in the process. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd encourage it. I mean, if it's just that whole industry, the knowledge sharing industry.
Yep.
LMSs. It's just getting going, and it's just so much fun to be able to take 10 years of learning and put it into a course that you can learn at your own pace and work at your own pace. Couple that with coaching and mentoring, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on calls all the time, and I love that. I mean, that's my favorite part is the interaction I get with my clients, my members. And we're actually doing a live mastermind. I'm hosting it here in Denver for roofing owners and roofing executives. A 2-day, like intense 2-day crash course under the hood. We're covering everything from personal development, leadership, cash flow management, through all the duplicatable processes and systems that we've built for our company, in a 2-day intense course, with a ton of great networking and just a lot of like-minded, people going to be there. When we launched a week ago, we're already halfway sold out. So if you're a roofer and you're interested, probably a good idea to check it out. Just go ahead and shoot me a direct message and I'll send you the link.
Dude, so awesome, Randy. I love it. And I love that you're using all these different principles that might feel like commonplace and like done again to personal development industry, right? Like seminars have been going since the 80s and the 90s, going, with like Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins and Les Brown. And like, that's really, it's been going for a long time. And so today the challenge is to continue to innovate and do it in a way that is new and fresh and fun and exciting while still delivering that massive value. And like I said, your industry that you're in may not have been doing seminars for so long, and
well, they have, and in our industry, it's become this thing. But there's seminars, there are conferences. And don't get me wrong, there's value to be had anytime you go somewhere where you can get around people in your industry and you can learn one way or another.
Right.
But a lot of them, unfortunately, you leave there feeling like you were just being pitched for 2 days straight or 3 days straight, or you got a little motivation because some big name guest speaker, Grant, spoke at some of our conferences, and we've had Gary V at roofing conferences and all this stuff, and which is super cool. I mean, there's a lot of value there, but I've been going to that similar type of conference for years and years and years. And I think I wanted to try to do it a little bit differently and have a much smaller audience where we can literally connect with everybody there. There's going to be a lot of masterminding and connecting and sharing ideas with one another, and literally not just one person or two people or a bunch of people speaking out on an hour-long segments. It's, hey, this is a topic. We're going to discuss this topic, and then here's some strategy that you're going to take the next 30 minutes and actually implement.
Yeah, roll up your sleeves.
Let's
and
do this.
Roll
up your sleeves. We're going to work.
Yeah.
And that's the idea behind it, is we're doing a whole session on personal development. That's everybody who even shows up is taking an assessment. Like, we're going to go, like, you're all leaving there, like, knowing who you are, whether you like it or not.
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. Tell us about the podcast. What inspired you to start with the podcast?
That's funny because I feel like this whole theme is accidental. Like, my whole career is an accident. I just look for opportunities, and when they happen, they happen. So the podcast kind of happened by accident, where my buddy, my co-host, he owns a marketing company, a digital marketing firm, and he was getting going, and I was just getting going, and we thought we had this wild idea, like, hey, why don't we just go live on Facebook and just, I'll interview you, you can interview me, and we'll just go live on Facebook and see what happens, to try to, get to know people and share our kind of story. And then the idea was, well, why don't we try to get other people, other roofing owners, or other industry entrepreneurs to join and do our live Facebook. So we just did it just like we're doing here on live on Facebook. And it wasn't until 4 or 5 episodes in that someone commented like, hey, do you guys do a podcast? We're like, duh, maybe we should do a podcast. And like literally as we were speaking, like we were only doing it live, we were recording it, and then we cut the clips and use it for promotional, more micro content. And then we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and upgrade our equipment. So then we started buying microphones and all the equipment and upgraded our software and just gradually upgraded all of our equipment. And 85 episodes later, we're the #1 podcast in the roofing space. Dang. And we got like a list of people joining. We bring in owners of all these different companies, tech companies, all different entrepreneurs. Some people who are just getting their companies started. Some people are doing $40-50 million a year, joining us on the show. Wow. So it's pretty cool. Like, just like you get such unique content filming live. It's like, it's not padded. It's not preloaded questions, nothing. It's just raw content. And I think that's ultimately, I think that's the best way to do a podcast is it's keeping it real. And we do interact though. So we'll have comments and questions, and we do live interaction with people during the show. Wow. Even though it gets recorded and distributed to all the different podcasting platforms. But that's just kind of happened by accident, and we've just been going with it ever since. We're filming tonight at 6:00.
Dang.
Dude, our show's Wednesday nights at 6. The Start Build Grow show will be on tonight. You got to check it out.
I love it, dude.
So are you still going to be live?
Yeah, I'll still be live.
Well, we'll be
9 p.m. Until 9 p.m.
Right so, on, dude, man. I'll give you a shout on the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I wanted to ask, like, what helped you grow so fast? Like, what was it about how you showed up, strategies, marketing, et cetera, that really helped you grow?
So when I first got in as a salesperson working for another company, I got in a situation where it was like an epic storm, right? This huge hailstorm just took out like half of a major metropolitan area. And I just saw that opportunity, and that company just grew overnight, but they didn't have the systems in place to be able to handle that growth. So it just total chaos. So I knew that, hey, if I can start from day one and focus on duplicatable, repeatable processes, hiring, training, developing people, and putting myself in position to capture that next big opportunity when you get the big storm or get another hailstorm or something like that, I wanted to position myself to capture that when it happened. And so we focused on systems, processes, marketing, doing everything we can to build a brand. And then we got a decent storm, we capitalized. Got another decent storm, we capitalized. Got another decent storm, we capitalized. And now we're, we're at the point now where this last year we didn't have a whole bunch of big hailstorms, but we were still able to have a really good year because of the brand that we've built and because of, our ability to kind of diversify if need be. So just learning and growing and setting yourself, you got to kind of have that vision of there's going to be a day that a massive hailstorm is going to hit. I don't want to be caught with my pants down. I want to be ready for it. So I was ready for it, and we were ready each time. And we were able to just gain big market share and grow our company substantially because of that.
That's I love that. I love that mindset of there's going to be a day when, like, the shit hits the fan. There's a massive opportunity. There's like a gold rush, so to speak. Are we equipped to be able to quickly and effectively seize the opportunity when it comes? I think a lot of people are just like flying by the seat of their pants and just barely hanging on. And it's like, how can we have more of a long-term thinking mindset to put the things in place so that we can confidently say, yes, when that comes, we're going to be ready.
You got to always be thinking scalability. Like everything you do, every move you make as a leader, as an entrepreneur, are you doing something that can ultimately lead your business to scale someday? If you're doing something, and I call it offense versus defense. Defense, you're just putting out fires and you're dealing with the crap that's right in front of you, right? The stuff that just shows up day to day and you have to deal with today. That's always going to be there. But at some point, you got to start thinking offense. How do I set myself up to capture opportunities when the opportunities happen.
Yeah. That's gold. And then, so that was the company mindset of how you like scalability. How about your podcast? How did you effectively grow and become the number one roofing podcast?
Putting out good content, just being real with people, man. It's like we just, we just would bring on a new guest. We just kept bringing on a guest from people we knew within the industry and on Facebook and social media, and then it just kind of grew from there. And it continues to grow. Where I get messages on a regular basis of people, hey, I want to join it, or want to share this, or bring your podcast to our show, to our conference, and now it just kind of grew. Good content in the industry, sharing great knowledge, being real, no BS. We're pretty real and raw, and we just tell it like it is, and we try to be good people, sharing good stories and good information, and then people start talking. And we don't really do a lot of promotion. So a group page helps out a lot. So we built a group page. We have like 3,500 people on our group page. Wow. Started that, well over a year ago, and we're able to cross promote between the group and the podcast. And with the links, right? You share the link, and then micro content, so we'll film it and then take some 3 or 4 segments out of each, and then reshare those to other channels and with a link to the podcast. And that's just kind of how we've helped grow the thing and getting it to the point where, it continues every month. We're getting more and more downloads. So
crushing it, man, crushing it. And it's like when you're doing good things, doing it for the right reasons, helping, serving other people, and being real, like it's just a matter of time before like things blow up in a good way. And just like really growth spurts. And it's awesome, man. I really hear that you're in your stride, and it's just like keeps growing, keeps getting better. I'm curious. I know your family is important to you as well. Tell us a little bit more about that, and how how has your family life evolved over the years and with your career? Tell us more about that, man.
Well, first off, on the podcasting thing, I'm just trying to be like you someday. You guys are crushing it. I love this idea. I was like, you told me this 12-hour thing. I'm like, what? That's a cool idea. I like it. It's cool. But yeah, family's everything. And to be candid, that's probably one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur. You start diving in and seeing success and things happen. It's really easy to get completely inundated with the businesses and all the different things you're trying to accomplish, especially trying to be an influencer in a space and build a business and have multiple companies and stuff like that. And I've been affected by this. It's easy to kind of take the family for granted, right? It's easy to you're hanging out with them whenever you can. You take them on cool vacations. They all have a nice home. They all got taken care of. But really, what they don't care about all that crap. They want you there. They want you to be present. So I've had to really work hard to learn and appreciate that. Where I've been blessed to be able to position myself where I spend the majority of my time working from home. If I'm not traveling or doing meetings at my office, which is usually about once a week, I work from home. So I'm able to take breaks throughout the day. I pick up my kid and drop him off from school every day. Little things like that, the little segments of energy that I can put towards a kid that's dedicated, and my family that's dedicated, is great. When you're working, work hard, but when you have an opportunity, shut the work down, turn the social media off. Believe it or not, people see me a lot on social media, but I kind of have a whole team that helps with that now.
Yep.
I don't ever get on there and just scroll and look. Sorry if I'm not liking your stuff. I apologize. I still love you. I care about you. But
amen.
I'm not going to spend an hour a night scrolling Facebook just so I can see what everyone else in the world is doing. Nope. I'm going to dedicate that time to hang out with my family.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. And that was a cognitive, piece of education that I had to teach myself. I had to figure that out. That where my priorities am I worried if how many people liked my last post or liked my last live video or whatever, or how many downloads do we get? They're just going to happen. Sorry, I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention to other things when I'm not on. When I'm dialed in, I'm dialed in. But when I'm off, I'm off. I'm not messing around with the Facebook.
And I think there's something to be said about like when you're doing the right thing, doing good work. If you're obsessed about the numbers or obsessed about like the score all the time, it's almost like you don't give it opportunity to flourish. It's like checking the seed, right? Like when you plant a seed and you like pull it open, try to dig it up. Are you growing yet? Are you growing yet? Okay, no, put it back. 5 minutes later, you open it back up. Are you growing yet? Are you growing yet? So it's like to really give it its time. And I think that like taking your focus off and being able to switch off of that intensity and pour your energy, pour your focus and your love into, other things and passions and family and friendships and different things like that, it'll really make for a much more well-rounded life. And I think ultimately, like, everything will blossom more because you're giving it its space, as well as the nourishment and the fertilizer and all that great stuff so it can grow.
Yeah, I heard something pretty awesome the other day. I'm a John Maxwell certified speaker, and I listen to a lot of his content, and and also some of my own things that I do with my own mentors, and I live by the idea of trying to, like, like what you were talking about with the whole balance thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think true balance ever truly exists in life.
Mm.
As Maxwell says, it's not necessarily balance; it's different seasons.
Yes.
Right? You have different seasons in life, and sometimes you need to focus your energy all on your family.
Yep.
Sometimes and the five elements there that you want to try to balance is mind, body, spirit, family, and business. And out of those five elements, you're never going to have pure balance across the board. But the idea is when something's getting low or getting below, think of it as like a chart or a graph. And if something getting like a line graph and something's getting below zero, you got to focus on that. Put your energy there, get it back up, and then always just try to bring up what's not great, right?
Yep.
So, lately I suck with working out, and I need to get back in. It just is what it is. I've been really busy with work and family and travel and stuff. So now it's like, all right, I'm trying to get on a new regimen and start working out again on a consistent basis. But it's just seasonality, man. Pick your season and go all in. Make sure you're trying to strive for that balance, knowing full well that you'll never actually achieve it, but you still got to work hard for it every day.
Yeah, and I think it's really trusting that the seasons are happening, and like when you really push for one thing, it's like the other things start to fall because you're putting your focus on that. But like once you've gotten it to, let's say, a stable point, or a point that you're satisfied with, or you start to see that the other ones are falling out of balance, then you like can take your focus off that one, and it's like slowly might be regressing or not growing as fast, so to speak, and then you can bring the other ones up. So it's like you push, you get to a new milestone, and then you catch everything else up, and then you push, and then you get to a new milestone, and you catch everything else up. So it's like you said, the seasons. And I think if people can, like, trying to do everything at once and be great at everything all at once, like it's almost like overkill. It's like really setting those clear boundaries, saying, hey, for this season, for this month, for these 3 months, I'm going to really be focused on this. And then after that, like, we'll be able to really focus on this other priority. But it's all about like what season are people in their life.
Yeah, it's funny. I just had this funny thought come to my head of, I got a little 2-year-old daughter, and she has this little toy that's got these little little knobs that are up and down, and like you push one down, another one comes up.
Yeah.
Push down, another one comes up. That's like what it is. Exactly.
I love it, Randy. This is gold, man. So we're beginning to wrap up, and I want to hear like a final takeaway, especially in this theme of, like, when you want to create success in your life, help other people achieve success, and that will bring success to our lives. So let's wrap it up with like really driving that home, man. What do you mean by that? What do we need to do around that?
Well, I think the anchor for that is, it comes down to how you interpret leadership. Because leadership and success are very, very, very closely related.
Yep.
You're not going to find a really successful person that's not always a good leader, and that doesn't lead others. So the objective in life is to not only be the best leader that you can be, but be a leader that educates and inspires other people to then become leaders.
Yes.
So if your focus is on helping other people achieve leadership and be great leaders, that will ultimately lead to helping other people be successful. And as a result, you will be successful, you will be a better leader, and you'll be able to live a really full, really beautiful life.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that. Like, to be a great leader, to be successful, you get to teach that to others. You get to give away leadership. You get to give them opportunities to shine, give that acknowledgement and encouragement, like when they are taking on bigger and bigger responsibilities than they knew how, and be there and have compassion and help guide them through that. I think when we can help other people show up as their best version of themselves, that's success, man. That's a massive contribution. I see you doing that in your podcast and your book and your academy, all the great stuff you're doing. It's awesome, man.
Thanks, man. I truly appreciate it, and thanks to all the all I always got to give a shout out to all the amazing people that helped me along this journey, man. It's not just me.
Yep.
I'm surrounded by amazing people, great mentors, great partners, great staff, everybody, and on that leadership note, for those of you who are out there building a business or in a leadership position, understand that everybody in your organization or everybody that looks up or works under you, you're not just leading them, they are also leaders.
Mm,
So your job is to empower them to tap into their self as great leaders. And
wow.
ultimately, what a leader's job and a leader's responsibility is to solve problems. And if you can build an organization that's from the top down, everybody's a leader and everybody owns their role as a problem solver,
Mm,
the sky's the limit.
dang. That's gold, man. Gold right there. I hope you all are writing this down. Really help your team, help the people who are on your team tap into their powers as leaders. And from the bottom up, make sure every single person recognizes that they are a leader and that they own their role. They have the facility, the power, the ability to solve any challenge that comes their way, and they're resourceful. And just to remind them of that, to remind them that they're a powerful human being who can achieve anything they set their mind to. Randy, this has been an epic interview, man. I know our audience wants to stay connected with you. They want to take the next steps with you. How do they do that, bro?
The quickest, easiest way is to just hit me up right here on Facebook. I'm on Facebook Messenger a lot, Randy Brothers. I do have a professional author page, Randy J Brothers. I don't check that as much, so just hit me up on my personal page, Randy Brothers. And then you can also reach out to me at theroofingacademy.com to check out what we have there, as well as email randy@theroofingacademy.com.
Beautiful. So again, that's theroofingacademy.com and also facebook.com/the Start Build Grow Show. They can check that out there as well. What's your group called again, Randy?
It's called the Roofing Entrepreneurs Group.
Cool. The Roofing
Yep.
Entrepreneurs Group.
Roofing Entrepreneurs Group.
Yeah, check.
You don't have to be a roofer, man. There's tons of activity going on all the time in there, and it's all about just blue collar entrepreneurship, man. That's what we're all about.
Boom. I love it. I love it, man. Randy, you're up to amazing things. I'm excited to see the next book that you got in you too when that comes out. Just keep showing up, man. Keep loving on your community, on your team, on your customers and clients, on your family, man. You're doing amazing things. So keep showing up. Thanks for being here and sharing such powerful wisdom with us, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I'll see you soon, okay?
You too.